Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Just need a change? Laurel and Wolf can unlock your home's full potential. Just head to laurelandwolf.com today. Take a free style quiz. Tell us about your space, and we'll work to create your dream home. That's LAURE.
All right, 2 minutes after 10 o'clock, you're listening to WOCA The Source. I had bumper music there. I don't know why it didn't play, but it is time to join Galen Unold. He's over at the Daytona International Speedway giving us a pre-show show for the 59th annual Daytona 500. Galen, it sounds exciting already, just listening in the background there. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Larry, Robin, everybody. And I said Robin because I had a habit. Morning, Larry, and Doug's in the studio.
Doug's here, yeah.
This is Galen. I'm broadcasting live from Daytona Beach, the Daytona International Speedway, the home of speed. We are at the pinnacle of Speed Weeks. Here we are. We're on the Sunday of the Great American Race, the Super Bowl of NASCAR, in the beautiful facility that gets a little better every year. It's a beautiful 60 degrees. I feel like I'm at this point just doing nothing but a Chamber of Commerce, but it is a Chamber of Commerce kind of day today. Not a cloud in the sky, no rain, which is always good for the Daytona 500. Rain is something that's a downer. They're expecting a little over 200,000 people to fill these stands. Walked on the track earlier today. Track looks in good shape, well paved. You know, they paved this track a few years ago, and it's really coming into its own. Watching the duels, I think we're going to have a very exciting race. Speeds right around 200 miles an hour. People racing within 2 inches of each other at 200 miles an hour. It's something you can't really embrace until you've walked the track and you've seen the banking. But let me kind of give you a preview of what we're going to cover today. We're going to, at 10:15, we're going to have somebody from the NASCAR Hall of Fame, which is adjacent right here to the Daytona Speedway, and he's going to talk about some of the exhibits they have there, including whoever wins this race gets the honor of putting their car right there in the Hall of Fame. The Thunderbirds are out here today. I'm hoping I could talk to somebody from the Air Force Thunderbirds, the Aeronautical Acrobatics Show. It's a great thing to see. It should be a bucket list for everyone if you've never seen the Thunderbirds. I don't ever want to fly in them, but they're fun to watch. They scare the heck out of me, but they're fun to watch. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the changes that are coming up. NASCAR is always adapting and trying to make things new and make things fresh and keep things current. And so they've made a lot of changes this year, not only to the rules of when you can pit and how long you can pit after an accident. They've upgraded their safety concerns, over the years. And this year they took a giant step with a traveling team that goes around. They're trauma specialists that travel around from race to race and really focus on the pure health and safety of these drivers. And when you see the track, when you walk around the track, you can really understand why safety is such an issue. It takes some real guts to drive around this course. It's 2.5 miles long at 200 miles an hour on that banking that you can barely walk on. And you could never drive your regular car. You would be scared to death, much less a car going 200 miles an hour. We're going to talk about Stewart-Haas Racing switching over to Ford. That's a really big deal, and I think that's going to make a major impact on racing. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about the state of NASCAR, and I will give you my prediction at the end of the broadcast. But, again, we're going to have a lot of fun. Feel free to call in if you'd like at 622-9622. I will take your calls, questions about the Speedway, what's been going on, and kind of give you an up-to-date, up-to-the-minute look as to what's going on here. But we're here, and it's live, and the weather is absolutely perfect. Everywhere you look, there's an American flag. We're in the infield in the fan zone. They got a major sponsor this year, first time of UNOH I had never heard of until I walked in. I don't know what they do, but they spent some big-time money here, and that's one thing NASCAR can do. It can brand the heck out of you. I talked to somebody today who's talking about becoming a sponsor for NASCAR. He's looking to get in on the bottom end. I may talk to him later about his ambitions of sponsoring the car, getting on the hood that only costs about $500,000 per race to put your logo on the hood of a car. Even if they're really bad, it costs about $500,000. Dale Earnhardt, $1.2 million to be on the hood of his car. But again, inside the infield on this gorgeous day, there's people jumping up on trampolines, autographs galore. People are walking up and down pit row. Fans really haven't started getting into the stands because, again, race doesn't start till 1, and then I guess everything really starts at 1, but they have a lot of pre-race stuff. Owen Wilson starts at 2. I don't even know what time it starts at. It starts at 2. Wow, that's a lot of hype. Thank goodness we're not going to 2 today. But again, we're going to go right up to noon, and it's going to be a good time. Let's talk about the race. On the pole, again this year for the 500, is the Napa Chevrolet. It's NASCAR. You have to say the sponsor first. Is the Napa Chevrolet driven by Chase Elliott. Again, he gets bonus points now for being on the pole. He gets 10 bonus points, which are huge because it's not about just winning this race, but it's also about winning the championship. And he's on the pole and already got 10 points. So right now he's your points leader as well. Followed by him is the Chevrolet driven by Jamie McMurray in the Cessna McDonald Chevrolet. And again, I think it's going to be pretty incredible. Looking at the practice times, practice 3 is a good indicator of some raw speed. They don't run a lot of laps on practice 3, but Kyle Busch led that in his M&M's Toyota. That's the yellow-looking car with M&M's all over it. And he had the fastest lap. His speed was 197 miles an hour. Now, what's encouraging about that with the overall speed is that they shrunk the restrictor plates a little bit more this year in NASCAR to bring the car speed down and to also make it a little bit more of a drafting race. If you remember a few years ago, they had this thing where they were going 2 by 2, and it was incredibly boring, maybe the most boring race in the history of not only the Daytona 500, but possibly NASCAR. They were just logging laps. You couldn't pass. You were 2 by 2 the whole way in that side-by-side, door-to-door, bumper-to-bumper racing that this track is famous for was gone. And so they changed a lot of the aero packages of this car, and now they went in and they changed the restrictor plate to get less gas into the carburetor, and so that it restricts the power of these cars to just over 700 horsepower. So you put that in today's terms, your average car has about 125 to 150 horsepower. Maybe a Camaro will go about 210, but these cars weigh about 3,500 pounds and have 700 horsepower. These cars are fast and furious, and that's why it's such a lot of fun to be a part of. So, Chase Elliott's on the pole. He's followed by, again, Matt Kenseth in that, I'm sorry, he's not followed by Matt Kenseth. He's followed by Jamie McMurray, Kevin Harvick, and one of those Stuart Haas Racing Fords that we're going to talk about a little later in the show. Then Brad Keselowski. Matt Kenseth is 5th, and Matt Kenseth's been sneaky fast this week, so keep an eye out for him. And again, a big part of all of these people and all of these races and everything they do is the points, and also at the Daytona 500 is your rookie drivers. Make sure anybody's got that red stripe on, make sure you keep an eye on them because you're never quite sure what they're going to bring you. They get a little nervous, they get a little loose. Next thing you know, you have the huge crash that, let's be honest, at least half the crowd is looking for that big crash. So that's kind of what we have going on today. Give you a taste. I think the speeds are going to be extremely fast. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be an exciting event. This is going to be a good, close, tight race. And I'm expecting a great show. If nothing else, the 500 is a great show. First 50 laps are as good as it gets. Last 50 laps are some of the best you'll ever see. The middle 100's a little boring. And we'll see if they log laps. And that's why I'm kind of excited about the point changes to the point system that we're going to talk about here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk about how they changed it in order to make the racing a little bit more exciting. So I'm excited about it, and I can't wait to bring it to you. So right now we're going to step aside so we can come back with Kevin Slicer of the NASCAR Hall of Fame Director of Exhibits. But you are listening live to WOCA Radio, broadcasting live from the infield of the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway. We'll be right back.
On this episode of What Not to Do, brought to you by
Mike's Got Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
Why is there a mariachi band in... Wait, are you digging up the yard again?
It's not what it looks like.
Oh, really? Because it looks like you're tearing up my yard right over the septic tank.
Okay, so maybe it's a little bit what it looks like. See, what happened was...
Wait, let me guess. The septic is backing up and you thought you were Fix-It Guy again and would take it upon yourself and dig up my yard?
That's Mr. Fix-It Guy.
Uh-huh. What do we say the new rule was?
No eBay when you're not home.
Well, yes, but not that one. If water runs through it...
I know, they do it. But this is septic.
Yes, Mike's Got Plumbing does septic.
I knew that.
Uh-huh. 866-314-4443.
I know. 866-314-4443. Got it.
And what's with the mariachi band?
You didn't say anything about Amazon.
on next week's episode of What Not to Do.
Aw, come on, an elephant?
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
Want to go exploring with all the comforts of home? Discover the best of both worlds at the Ocala RV Show, March 2nd through 5th at Florida Horse Park. Thursday through Sunday, discover loads of RVs, great rates. Win 2 $100 gift cards every day, no purchase necessary. Adults $5, kids under 16 free. Thursday, buy one admission, get one free. Sunday, free admission with blood donation to Life South Community Blood Center. $2 off for military and first responders each day. It's the Ocala RV Show.
Beautiful Moments Party Rental presents the Ocala Wedding and Events Expo 2017 on March 9th. This event has caterers, photographers, florists, musicians, plus food, fun, and more. Brides, bring your bridesmaids and friends alike. 100% of ticket sales goes to the Inflammatory Breast Cancer Network Foundation, and they're only $10 each. So mark your calendars for March 9th from 5 to 8:30 p.m. for the Ocala Wedding and Events Expo at Beautiful Moments Party Rentals, 3400 Southwest 60th Avenue. Questions, call 307-8180. That's 307-8180. Coming this and every second Friday of the month at 11 a.m. is Trinity Healthcare Medical Center with your host, Dr. David Kuhn. Trinity Healthcare Medical Center is Ocala's only progressive primary care clinic. Be sure to listen in and also check their website at thcmc.com. Then call them with your questions at 512-0000. That's 512-0000. That's every second Friday at 11 a.m. for Trinity Healthcare Medical Center here on The Source WOCA.
You deserve a little getaway, so WOCA and Red Roof Inn are going to give you one. Throughout the month of February, tune in to AM Ocala Live, especially at 50 minutes past the hour. Why 50 minutes past the hour? Because Red Roof Inn now has over 50 Red Roof Inn Plus locations with new upgrades and amenities to make your stay great. And we're giving some lucky listeners a free night stay at any Red Roof Inn around the country. All you have to do is listen for Larry and Robin to tell you to call. So tune in and win from WOCA and Red Roof Inn.
1 in 26 individuals live with epilepsy. 400,000 of them live right here in Florida. Help spread awareness of epilepsy by attending the 2017 Epilepsy Foundation of Florida's Gainesville Walk the Talk event on Saturday, March 25th at the University of Florida. Register today at efof.org/walkthetalk.
Years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in...
Good morning and welcome. We are live at the Daytona 500 International Speedway in Daytona. It's going to be a gorgeous day. We are going to have on pretty shortly a member from the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And, you know, in Ocala, we really take for granted what we have around us, whether it's Disney World or SeaWorld or Universal or even the Daytona International Speedway. And I'm amazed at how many people have never been here. There are so many events throughout the year, whether it's the Rolex, the Motorcycle Speed Weeks, which are a whole nother set of demographics, or of course NASCAR, which is really what this place is known for. It's an amazing facility. If you just want to come and take a tour, you can take a tour of the Speedway, or you could go into the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and they have some stuff in there that just like any Hall of Fame. I don't care if you're going to the Fighter Pilot Hall of Fame in Alabama. they have some stuff that you're like, wow, I never knew, and it's a great opportunity to learn. And maybe we'll learn something today by talking to Kevin. He's a little busy with some other media guy who poached him from me. I hate that. But let's talk about the race a little bit. I teased a little bit earlier about the point system changing and how I think that's going to make it much more exciting race for all of NASCAR. And some of those changes include there's now 3 stages to the race. So I talked about that middle 100 laps, which is incredibly boring. So what NASCAR did, they know that. They know what the viewership is. A lot of times for all these races, people watch the first 50 laps. They go mow their yard. It is Sunday. They take care of all. If they have to go to the store, they go during the middle 100 laps. And then they come back and watch the last 50. So NASCAR decided, hey, we got to spice this up in that middle. So now they have 3 stages, stage 1, stage 2, and the final stage. Stage 1 and 2 will reward drivers who are leading or in the top 10 at the conclusion of each stage, and the final stage will determine the race winner, obviously. So they're still racing the full laps. It's almost like we're going to race in the first 50 laps, and we're going to get X amount of bonus points for, that was distracting. I'm still a little kid. For the Winston Cup Series. Don't laugh at me, you were doing it too. So what is stage 1? Stage 1 is the green flag begins the race, obviously. And its length will be approximately 25 to 30 laps. Today it's going to be 25 laps. And it's a percentage, and it's a different for each race, obviously, depending on track size. Now, the stage can end under a caution. Sometimes they have these, what they call competition cautions, which is really worried about the tire wear, and they want to be able to bring everybody in a controlled way so they can check on the tire wear. You get points for that. So you get 10 at the end of that, and that can be very significant when you consider by the end of the season, whether you make the playoffs can be determined by 4 or 5 points. Stage 2, again, 25% of the race, so today it'll be really 50 to 75, I think, is what they're going to do. And they get another 10 points in bonus points. So it's 10 for first, 9 for second, et cetera, all the way down. So it's going to be a big factor. You're going to see these people racing to the flag early on in the race, and they're doing that to make it competitive. What this is also going to do is it's going to take pit strategy to another level. 2 most exciting things in NASCAR, according to the masses and what the numbers say of the Arbitron viewership, are crashes and pits. Everything else is about the same. Long period of caution when they're cleaning the track up are incredibly boring, but people stay and watch it so they can watch the crash from the 72 different angles that they get. And that's pretty incredible. In the winter, of course, the last stage will do the same thing. But I think we're now ready to, Kevin's going to come on up. Kevin from the NASCAR Hall of Fame. You have a big title over there, Kevin. How are you today?
Hey, glad to be here.
That's awesome. So, talk about the NASCAR Hall of Fame. I haven't been in, 2 or 3 years, but what's new? I know you guys are always doing new things with your exhibits.
Well, we actually changed out 5 different things in January. Sometimes it's year 4, and we're always changing things out. The things that we changed out this year, Glory Road, which is 18 very iconic cars, and we call it Glory Road Icons. And it also, Glory Road simulates the banking at all the tracks, and you got panels that explain that. Because one of the things we hear from fans, and we heard it even before we opened, is if you get to walk out on the Daytona International Speedway, even the 18 degrees that's on the front straightaway, it doesn't look as steep when you're sitting in the grandstands or watching on TV. So it lets folks feel that, and there's a couple of places they can walk out and feel how steep it is, and we've got some very iconic cars that we added to it, things that you would expect, like Richard Petty's 1964 Plymouth that won his first Daytona 500.
Race car from NASCAR ever done.
In my opinion,
baby blue, it's just perfect.
In my opinion, one of them, the very first race I went to was 1964 here. Okay. So, I didn't pick that car out. Richard decided that's the one he was going to let us have.
He's got a
this
few.
time. Yeah, he's got.
When you think of Richard Petty, that's what you think of. That Plymouth on the wing. That car, perfect.
Exactly.
Perfect.
We also changed out our Hall of Honor, which 5 new inductees this year. Our Champions exhibit that honors the top 3 series: Daniel Suarez, Johnny Sauter, of course Jimmy Johnson winning his 7th championship. We've got 3 large cases that highlight and have artifacts from memorable moments in 2016. Some of them are memorable because they were memorable on the racetrack, like the Denny Hamlin's win and having his ring from winning the Daytona 500, the closest Daytona 500 finish ever. But others are kind of unique stories, like the jack that got stuck underneath Joey Logano's car at Talladega, went all the way around the track, didn't come out from underneath the car. They were able to pull it out, and he went on and won the race. So we've got that jack. So you got things like that. We've got a new Squire Hall Award, which honors Benny Phillips. One of the Squire Hall Award is for media excellence in NASCAR.
I got a chance.
You might have. And then we will be changing out an exhibit in the Great Hall area. It's currently recognizing Tony Stewart's stellar career, not just his NASCAR career, but going back to the sprint cars. We've got his Triple Crown cars that he won back in the 1990s. We've got 2 of his Indy cars, an IROC car, and then several of his NASCAR, what are now Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series.
Get used to that.
I do.
I still call it the Winston Cup.
Right, but that's where I grew up.
Yeah,
that's where I grew up. So, we'll be changing that exhibit out too, and we'll have one that highlights Richard Petty and his 80th birthday this year. But it'll have the entire family involved in it, the Petty Enterprise.
Sure.
Because one of the things Richard asked me as we were designing the hall, he said, make sure you don't just try to tell the Richard Petty story. I get my share of attention. Make sure you encompass the Petty Enterprises story, because my dad was the first one that had a team that made a living as a race team. So we've tried to do that.
Yeah. My first race, I was 6 years old. I don't remember it. My mom tells me I came every year for about till 1982, I think, and then I took a little break because I was 12 and I had better things to do. But every time I come, this place is different. And the Hall of Fame started in 90.
We actually opened in 2010. We have only been open now. We're going on our 7th. Yeah, there's an experience here, but we've been open for not quite 7 years, and have virtually changed out everything throughout the first 5 years, and always trying to do that and give folks new experiences. We've got over 50 hands-on interactive experiences. People can simulate pitting a car. One of the things that a lot of people don't understand is why they're hiring. They go to NFL combines to recruit pit crew members, and these guys can change 4 tires, make adjustments to the car, put in 2 cans of fuel, and the cans of fuel weigh about 85 pounds full. They can do that in about 11 and a half seconds. You get over 12 seconds, you're slow. Most people cannot take off 5 lug nuts in that time. So we've got a simulation and a pit crew challenge where there's 2 of them that you can go 3-on-3 or 1-on-1 of jacking a car, actually taking a tire. You pull it off and put it back on. You don't pick up the entire 65-pound tire, but you can do the lug nuts and you can simulate putting the fuel in. Again, it's not as heavy as what they have to have when it's full, but you can simulate that whole process, and it helps folks realize just what athletes these guys are. And then we've got a simulator that you can you can race against other participants, and Terry Labonte's company helped us build it, and when he helped us test it out, he said that's as realistic as I've ever been in without being in a race car on a racetrack. So he felt like we hit the mark there, because he's got a little bit more experience in that than we do.
Wow. What's your favorite piece? What's your favorite item, your exhibit, whatever, in the Hall of Fame?
That's hard to say.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's make sure we plug that. It's in Charlotte.
That's hard to say. Just it's like asking a grandparent. There's several things that I think are very unique and iconic to me. Our full-size moonshine still that Junior Johnson built for us. Moonshine did not beget racing, and racing did not beget moonshine. But there's a linkage back in the day. And I used to make the mistake of telling people that the still, when they asked, wouldn't work. And Junior heard me say that. He said, no. He said, it's just not currently operational. He said, I built it so it would work. Yeah. He could fire it up and make it work, and I believe him. There's no doubt about that. Ricky Craven's car from the closest finish in NASCAR history is one that was the very first thing that was offered to us. It's a long story. I won't get into that, where I bumped into Ricky very early in the process, and because it is the closest finish in NASCAR history.
He retired, what, 2 years later, a year later?
Not long after that. And we actually made both of those areas a little bit bigger because we had not initially thought Junior would build a full-size still. And when it was full-size, we had to make that area a little bit bigger to accommodate it.
Sure.
And because it's so iconic and because it's Junior Johnson.
Junior Johnson.
And the same with our Greatest Finishes Theater. We didn't plan on putting a car in there, and when I told the exhibit designers which car we had, they reconfigured that area just a little bit. And every time we change something out, you know, we talked about Richard's car. That one is very special to me personally because it won the very first NASCAR race I went to.
Sure.
So if they go back to, you know, the first Glory Road or the second Glory Road, there are different cars in there that are special. When Maurice Petty's exhibit was in there, the car that we had in there was one of the Petty Superbirds that Pete Hamilton actually drove to Victory Lane because Richard helped get that car, and he wanted to help us make sure people knew that Maurice was not just tied to Richard Petty. You know, he was the crew chief on Hamilton's car. He built the motor for it, and he built more winning motors than anybody in NASCAR history. But to get that Superbird, it was special because as a kid, I had a go-kart, or my brother and I did, a neighbor did. He painted his Petty first. Okay. So when we painted ours Petty blue, we put the red stripe on the bumper like Pete Hamilton's car. So that was unique. And one of the things we find with race fans like myself, that's what they're looking for, what they remember as a kid. You know, we have people come up to us all the time, whether it's a kid or when they first started going to races, that I remember that car. You know, I started going at that time, and that's how the first Glory Road, the first time I saw it before we opened and with the cars uncovered, I literally sat there and tears came to my eyes because from about there were 18 cars there, and I think the first 3 I had never seen race.
Wow.
I had seen the third one, which was Lee Petty's car, but the rest of them, it's like, that's kind of what I'd followed all my life.
You saw Lee Petty on the end.
Yeah, and from Fireball Roberts all the way up, you know, it's like, that's what I remember, because Fireball actually won one of the qualifying races when I came here in '64 because Richard ran out of gas. Then Richard dominates the race, the 500, but he was in that lavender purple car.
Oh, I hated that color.
So
it was a horrible color.
But people remembered it. A 6-year-old kid remembered it. Same with the Petty Blue.
The color code. It was I forgot the color code. Do you remember it?
I don't. I just remember that it was, but it was an iconic car.
Yeah, it was a horrible color.
So
well, Petty could win this week for the first time in a long time. Richard Petty his car, that 43. Yeah, what am I doing? Is competitive, and I think they got a chance to win it. So maybe you'll see another link.
Yeah, and you know, and they won here in the July race. I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago. Either 14 or 15. That he won that race, or that his team and Eric Almirola. Yeah, the Fords are strong, but you know, if I'm going to pick somebody today, I'm probably going with somebody with a little more success in the plate tracks and experience. But, you know, Richard and his family have done so much for NASCAR. It's unbelievable.
And I know your Hall of Fame is dominated by Chevys because they've been the dominant manufacturer.
Actually, you would be surprised. You would.
Well, that's because you guys are still so far back there. But
actually, you would be surprised. There's not that much. We've got an area that Toyota helped us showcase how you have a NASCAR car. They did a cutaway car for us. It was a partnership with them. Half of the car is a stock car, half of the car is a race car. But one of the things I respect about Toyota when they came in, they said they wanted to work with us, but they wanted to earn their way in there.
Sure.
They didn't want to just be put in there.
Sure.
So we've got one of Kyle Busch's cars on Glory. I mean, it's from a championship year. It's a legitimate car. It needs to be in there. We do have some Chryslers in there, but it's more Chevy and Ford are probably about equally split.
I'm shocked by that.
You know, if I went back and counted them, and we don't do an inventory like this, I would say on Glory Road, it's pretty close to 50-50. When you know, we got a Bobby Alice Ford, we've got a Neil Bonnet Ford, we've got an Oldsmobile from Harry Gant, we've got Plymouth from
Harry Gant's the last one to drive
got the Plymouth from Richard Petty, we've got a Hudson Hornet. So it's pretty equal between Chevrolet and Ford.
I'm going to go on a limb and say Ford this year. Ford Haas Racing joining Ford is a monumental shift. And Ford hasn't dominated the racing in a long time. Toyota won it last year, but after that, it's like Chevy is like, what, 25?
I think Ford has the first chance of winning the Manufacturers' Championship than they have in a long time because you have to have multiple teams.
Absolutely.
I don't think anybody dominates. How I interpret the word dominate,
fair enough.
I think we're going to see a lot of different winners from all three manufacturers.
I think Ford can win the next 3 manufacturer championships. To me, that would be dominating, considering Chevy has dominated for so long in the manufacturer titles. You're right, day-to-day, race-to-race, there's a slew of winners. Granted, you got to take possibly the greatest driver of all time out of that equation, who's won 7 of them with Johnson. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good race. What's your prediction for today? And then I'll get you.
I think you're going to have some of the experienced guys up there. I think Denny and Keselowski have been so good at the plate tracks. I think those 2 guys, and on my fantasy team, the one that I play, you got to pick one or the other.
Absolutely.
I'm struggling with those 2 because I think they'll be up there. The Gibbs cars will be up there. They will be strong. All of them. I think Joey will be up there. Joey will be strong.
That Yates Ford plant, that Yates power plant, you can never underestimate.
Yeah, and one of my dark horses is Clint Boyer. He has been good at plate tracks. He's in good equipment.
He's always in the right place.
Jamie McMurray's another one who is strong here. But, if I had to pick, I would say Keselowski and Denny.
We didn't even name the pole sitter, Chase Elliott.
I think he runs up front. I'm going to be surprised if he wins.
He had to impress you at the duels, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The way he held that field off?
Absolutely. Did a great job, but it was half the field.
Fair enough.
It was half the field. Now, I was impressed by the fact that he didn't bail out having the pole-sitting car and that he wanted to stay up there and not just as aggressive as he was, but he was able to hold them off and block the lines. So I think that was very impressive. I do think he'll run up front. I do think he'll finish top 10. I just think somebody with a little bit more experience is going to end up winning the race, and somebody that has run well in the plate track. When you look at how Denny drove around the outside of Dale Jr.,
that was impressive. That was impressive.
Another
his
guy.
car is sitting right out there with all the confetti on it from last year.
The only reason, when
are you getting your hands on that car for the Hall of Fame?
I don't know that we will. I don't know that we will. Just Daytona first, they pay $100,000 to have it here. That's very expensive for one car.
They sure do.
So I don't look for us getting just a single car. Okay. If there is a place at some point in time. One of the things
it's really cool though, with all the confetti stuck on it. They don't touch it. They roll it from victory lane into the experience, and
Well, one of the problems we have with one-off cars is that we do so many events at the Hall. They need to be moved in and out.
That's true.
Stewart Haas Racing offered one of Kevin Harvick's cars to us where he won the championship in 2012 or 2014 to be a part of Tony's exhibit. We actually preferred to have a different car because it's just like Denny's with all the confetti, and we didn't want to mess up the confetti or have fans pick it off.
Sure.
And because of our cars are so accessible, and while it's a great car, it might fit in at some other point in time.
Fair enough. Well, it's great to meet you, Kevin, and the Hall of Fame at Charlotte, it's a bucket list for any fan of auto racing. I don't care if you like Formula One or the wing cars or whatever, but it's a must-do.
Great to be here. I hope y'all have a great day.
Yeah, hey, thank you very much. All right, so that was Kevin Slicer from the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, North Carolina. You are listening live to WOCA Radio, the world center of racing, right here at Daytona Speedway Infield. We'll be right back.
Come to the 4th Annual Habitat Strawberry Festival on March 4th, 2017 at the McPherson Government Complex. The festival's goal is not only to have vendors, food, a car show, a kids zone, live entertainment featuring one flight up, a lip sync competition, police versus fire department pie eating contest, and all things strawberry. But to also raise funds to build a habitat home for a family in our community. Check out the website, habitatocala.org, and follow the link. The Habitat for Humanity Strawberry Festival is March 4th with breakfast served at 7:30. Free parking, free admission.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Physical activity contributes to a child's happiness and does, in fact, promote learning. Every year, dentists save thousands of lives in North America by spotting growths and abnormalities in our mouth that end up being cancer many times. Also at the hotel, use the clips on the pants hangers in your closet to clip your curtains together so no light comes through.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Stay informed on everything going on in the villages with the Village Spectator newspaper. The Village Spectator is exclusively devoted to the villages with news, commentary, and more. And yes, they have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 804-1223 and pick up your copy of the Village Spectator today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Want to go exploring with all the comforts of home? Discover the best of both worlds at the Ocala RV Show, March 2nd through 5th at Florida Horse Park. Thursday through Sunday, discover loads of RVs, great rates. Win 2 $100 gift cards every day, no purchase necessary. Adults $5, kids under 16 free. Thursday, buy one admission, get one free. Sunday, free admission with blood donation to Life South Community Blood Center. $2 off for military and first responders each day. It's the Ocala RV Show.
Palm Garden wants to get to the heart of the matter. If you've been in the hospital as a cardiac patient, maybe you have a pacemaker or congestive heart failure or an arrhythmia, or perhaps you're a heart bypass patient, then consider Palm Garden as your rehab choice. With proven outcomes second to none, Palm Garden fixes broken hearts. Call today at 854-6262. That's 854-6262.
The entire world watched. They watched each step down the rungs of that small ladder, one after another, and waited with great anticipation for that last step.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
At that moment, humanity saw the impossible become the possible. And today, the sky is not the limit. Achievement. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing is what they call it here, because there are so many different types of racing. Everything from motorcycles to late models to Sprint Cup cars, or I guess it's now Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. It's going to take me a while to get that. To the Rolex at 24, which includes Porsches and Corvettes and that type of racing. But if you love racing and it's got a motor in it, you love it, this is the place to be. You know, it's a short drive. It's an hour and 15 minutes away. And even on an off day, if you're going to the beach, stop by and just check out. They have tours all the time here. I encourage it. It's worth it. It's something you see. It's only, 52 miles or something like that away from your home, right there in Ocala, so you should come by and see it. Earlier when we were talking to Kevin from the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, we were talking about how I believe that Ford can come back and actually dominate the Manufacturers' Cup. And when I say dominate, I mean actually win it for a change, because it's a series that's been dominated by Chevrolet for so many years. And that includes, if you look back, Chevrolet's had 39 total wins. Ford's had 15. That's number 2. And then you have the Hudson. Just imagine a Hudson used to be in the NASCAR series. And they won the first 3, I believe. So, they won 52, 53, and 54. And then you have the Buick and a Dodge. The Dodge, which you think is iconic, with Petty and everything else. They've only won 2 each. And then Pontiac, Oldsmobile, and Toyota each won the championship. And so, NASCAR, when Toyota came in, people were always upset. It's like, okay, what's going on? What are we doing here? Why are you allowing a Japanese manufacturer into NASCAR? What are we doing? And there was a lot of people upset about it, but the truth is the Toyota Camry, which is what they race, is manufactured in Alabama. And I've been to that plant. It's beautiful. We have blood drives there. So remember, everybody, I am Galen Unold from Life South Community Blood Centers. I'm on the morning every day with Larry and Robin from 8 to 8:30. It's a great show. You should listen to it. Not necessarily me, but Larry and Robin are pretty good at it. And again, I go to Alabama, and I've been to that Toyota place, and the Toyota's made more in the U.S. than the Fusion, which is the Ford equivalent. So again, Toyota coming in has kind of changed NASCAR. They brought a team mentality because Toyota racing development is in all forms of racing, from Indy to the Rolex. They have that wide range. And they brought a different feel to NASCAR. They brought more of that team where you have 5 drivers under the Toyota badge, and they're all going to share data. Whereas historically, Chevrolet, it's been team by team. You don't get nearly the team support. And that's why Stewart-Haas Racing, who went from Chevrolet to Ford, when you hear the quotes, that's one of the reasons why they did it. They did it because they felt they were going to get more support from the research side from Ford than they ever did from Chevrolet. In Stewart-Haas Racing, they have a Formula One team. They're linked with Ferrari there. And so now them going to Ford, I think, is going to change the balance of power in NASCAR in Ford's behalf. Now, why is the Manufacturers' Cup or the title so important to the manufacturers? They sell more cars. The winning car, when that car wins on Sunday, it sells cars on Monday. And that's why they do it in the first place. There's a lot of side benefits. There's everything from increased safety. If you look at the safety that you have in your vehicle today, a lot of that started on the track. You get increased gas mileage because of what happens on the track. So a lot of positive things come from racing. But the bottom line, these people like Ford and Chevrolet and even Oldsmobile back in the day, their job is to sell cars and to make money. And this transference of power is going to allow Ford, they believe, to sell more cars because for a long time they can win a championship. Last time Ford won a championship in NASCAR as a manufacturer's championship, you have to go all the way back nearly a century ago to 2002. They won it in 02. Chevrolet won it in 01, Ford won it in 99 and 2000, and Ford won it in 97. And that's it. I mean, it takes a long time for you to find them to win another one. And so I think this was a big, big move when you get a team like Stewart-Haas Racing, which includes Danica Patrick, you know, a name that whether you're a NASCAR fan or not, you know. It includes some really big drivers, and they're all up at the front. So Joey Logano's in Stewart-Haas Racing. He's driving a Ford. Or, I'm sorry, he's part of Yates Racing, but he's driving a Ford. You know, Eric Amendola drives a Ford. Brad Keselowski's in a Ford. And these are all, you know, at the top of the charts. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Trevor Bayne, who won this race 3 years ago, I believe, driving a Ford. Kurt Busch from Stewart-Haas Energy driving that Ford. And again, I think that's going to change the power within NASCAR. So that's kind of where we're at. You know, again, on the other half of the break, I'd love to take any calls that people have. Feel free to call in at 622-9622. And we're going to talk about some of the changes to the Speedway that have occurred. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I've been here since 1976, and I was 6 years old. Everything looked big. But it looks bigger now to me than it did when I was 6 years old because of all the changes. The stands have completely changed. I really want to talk about that after this break. But you're listening to WOCA Radio 96.3. Right here, we're based in Ocala. We're right at the mall. Thank you very much for listening. But we'll be right back to the world's center of speed right after this.
Is the internet driving business to your business? Hi, I'm Michael Warren with Brick City Interactive. At Brick City, we've been putting the web to work for businesses since 1998. We want to help you too, whether you're a real estate office, law office, medical office, manufacturer, retailer, a church, even a radio station like WOCA. We love to help businesses grow, and we have the knowledge and experience to make it happen. We offer professional, affordable web design, mobile responsive websites, search engine optimization, social media marketing, web video and promotions, online advertising, and more. Whether it's time for a redesign or whether you want to kickstart your existing website, let us help. Mention WOCA and we'll give you a free, no-obligation search engine optimization report for your website. This free report will give you practical steps to increase your search ranking. It's our gift to you from Brick City Interactive. Call us today at 352-351-1131 or visit us online at brickcity.com.
If you know of a young woman burdened with an unwanted pregnancy, please tell her about the House of One and Faith in Ocala. This free and confidential residence helps pregnant teen girls in a family atmosphere while forming an adoption plan. Part of the Ministry of Family of God Fellowship, the House of One and Faith offers a safe, loving environment. Call 352-687-8895 for more information.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
Good morning and welcome back. This is Galen, Unold, broadcasting live from the Daytona International Speedway. Today at 2 o'clock, we're going to have 43 cars racing around this 2.5-mile oval at 200 miles an hour, trying not to crash, and trying to win the Super Bowl of racing, the Super Bowl of, if you're a stock car fan, if you're a racing fan in general, this is a bucket list item. Earlier today, we saw people signing the checkered flag, and the person I brought, who we'll talk to in the second hour, it's never been here. It's awe-inspiring when you walk up that 18-degree banking and you're like, how do people drive on here? It's really, really one of those must-see places, and I hope everybody can see it. I understand we have somebody on the phone. You're listening to who do we got?
Good morning, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hello.
We don't.
Yeah, I was wondering, there were so many races last year that were internally delayed, not by rain, but by track drying. I mean, it was hours drying the track after the rain had stopped. I was wondering if NASCAR would consider going to a rain tire. Not so much to race in the rain, but to be able to get back on the track a little earlier than to be going 6 hours drying the track. Well, have a good day.
Hey, thank you. You know what? That's actually a really good question. You know, they tried rain tires before, and it just, the way these cars handle, it doesn't work because they fall apart, they degenerate so fast, and, or, I guess, is they are so slick that when they go into the corner, they don't hold. And again, these cars are pretty light. They are stock cars. They weigh about 4,500 pounds, but they have done them in the past. It just doesn't work. But trust me, it's an engineering feat they are trying to do. The reason you can do it in Formula One or some of the other, just about every other racing form, is because they have downforce pushing down on the cars. If you look at a stock car, there's very little wing, there's no wings, the wheels are covered, it's all about aerodynamics and going as fast as you can with as little drag as you can, and there's no, what they call mechanical downforce on the car. They have a little lip of a wing maybe in the back, but that's about it. And so they're really worried about that car even sticking to the ground and being able to make the turn. That's problem one. Problem two is when you get to a track like Daytona, if you've ever walked the banking, there's no way in the world. You could not walk it if it's wet. It takes effort to walk up the main stretch, which is only 18 degrees banking, much less when you get into turns, where it gets in the 23 to 30-ish range. So I don't think it's ever going to be possible for a super speedway like this. But, technology is always evolving, and I know they're going to keep trying. I believe we have another call.
Yes, you do.
You're on the air.
Go ahead.
Hello, Galen. Hey, Doug. How are Say, enjoying your broadcast. I wish you could stick around for the race. You're doing a great job.
Hey, I appreciate that very much, my friends from Wisconsin.
Yes, say, I understand that they took down 45,000 grandstand seats on the back straightaway, and now that the seating for the Daytona 500 total seating is 101,000. Is that correct?
For seating, yes. I believe that is correct, yes.
Yeah, they must get a heck of a lot of people in the infield, and if they're going to get over 200.
Yeah, that was the number I was told today, and I don't know if that's a combination between the races or what, but there is a ton of people in the infield. It's hard to imagine, and then not all of them, you got the campers and everybody else, and not everybody has a seat in the grandstands. But those back grandstands were pretty boring. I mean, they were tough because you didn't get to see a lot of the racing because it wasn't very high. And again, let's be honest, attendances dropped because of the economy, because of the perception that NASCAR has. With individuals, and we've talked about it on this show before, it's considered, more of a redneck event, and it's just not. It's a great family atmosphere. It's a lot of fun. And they're hoping this year with the economy starting to turn, Trump being elected, if you're ever going to wear a Make America Great hat again, this is where you wear it. I've seen more Trump flags than maybe American flags, but maybe that will spur it on. We'll see. It's still the most popular form of racing in the United States. It's second in the world behind Formula One. Formula One is the pinnacle, it's the crown jewel of racing. But, NASCAR, I don't think it's a problem that they go and stick to the roots. For a long time, they were trying to hit corporate America, and that's not what NASCAR is. You have to enjoy the sound of a motor. You have to enjoy the smell of the gasoline. You want to enjoy the roar of that engine. And you want to see a car that you can drive on the roads. I know it's not the same, but it looks like it, all stickered up, going as fast as you can. And people love NASCAR because their parents love NASCAR. Their aunts and uncles race on Saturday night at Bubba Speedway. And that's what it's all about. But great questions. Great questions with the race tires and other things.
Yeah, go ahead. Hey, Garland, I know what you're talking about with the race, the sound and the smells. I was brought up and raised across the street from the famous Milwaukee Mile racetrack going way, way back. I can remember when the Hudson Hornets were racing a driver called Marshall Teague, and they were hard to beat because of the configuration of the car, and it was just a wonderful thing. And a real quick question on the Infinity Series that they call now, with the Mustangs and the Camaros, when did that division start racing, and is that a 6-cylinder engine car?
You know what? I don't know if it's a 6-cylinder anymore. I know it was for a long time. I don't think you're ever going to see Mustangs and Camaros out there because they like the Fusion and they like the Camry because it's the number 1 and number 2 selling car for both companies. Camry's number 1, I think, in the world. The Ford F-150 is the number 1 for Ford, but number 2 is the Fusion. And they like selling that. It's a 4-door, it's a longer wheelbase, which is what they need. If you go back, they've never raced the Mustang in NASCAR because it's not, they race the Thunderbird, but they need that longer wheelbase, and it does have to fall into the template of the length and the width of off-the-shelf car. And so that's kind of their golden rule. I don't think you'll ever see either the Mustang or the Camry on the high banks of Talladega or Daytona.
Well, they introduced NASCAR to the Indianapolis racetrack years back, and it's been very successful. But I don't think they could ever introduce the Indy cars to the Daytona track because of the high bank curve. Is that correct?
They've tried it. It's just not that's not what, if you look at like the Indy, and if you look at Indy racing, they do race on some banked tracks like Michigan and things like that, but it's not what those cars are about. Those cars are about cornering speed. I've had the honor of going to the Indianapolis 500, and it's about, that raw speed coming down the backstretch is great, but it's also about how they get into the turns, and it's amazing to watch how they grip, because they have so much grip. That mechanical grip is amazing. That, and in the banking itself, they would completely have to readjust the cars in order for it to race on Daytona. They have to change the angle of the wing, because you're at an angle nearly the entire track, and it just doesn't work for that. But hey, thanks for calling, Hugh. It's always great to talk to you. And again, for a couple of minutes, I just want to get back to this racetrack and the Speedway and how it has changed. And you kind of talked about how they took down the stands in the backstretch. They were struggling to sell those seats. Horrible view, hard to get back to. You're away from everything, and you didn't see the finish line. You just couldn't see it. And it's very little action on that backstretch, because all those cars are doing is going as fast as they can and trying to set up for coming down through turn 4. So I'm not surprised that they took down those seats. But again, the numbers are up again for the first time. And I think they're going to continue to go up this year. And I think that's why NASCAR's trying to stay relevant, because it's 500 miles. And we've talked about the rain delays that can take forever. A lot of these racing circuits, like, your motorcycle, motocross just went to it this year. They went to a clock. The Formula One is a clock. They also race to a certain amount of laps, and then there's a clock. And so their Indy 500, or the Indy Racing League, went to a clock. I don't like the clock. I think you have a finish line, you race to the finish line. If the finish line's 500 miles away, you race 500 miles. But NASCAR on several occasions has actually shortened the race because of rain. And I think if you do a timed race, then what I hate more than anything is a fuel mileage race. I want these cars to go as fast as they can, kind of safely, and I want them to run as hard as they can the entire time and not worry about fuel mileage. Cannot stand fuel miles races. And I hope that's not what the Daytona 500 becomes. Because if it does, then it's going to be just another race in the long circuit of races that you have every Sunday from now until after football season starts. So let's see what kind of race we get out here today. I expect a very entertaining one. And again, I think there's going to be some rivalries. Jimmy Johnson, being a part. Going for number 8, I didn't think he could ever get to 7. But going for 8 in that Lowe's car, where he's had the same sponsor, same crew chief, same owner, same color scheme for all these years, and all the guy does is win. And he's one of the most boring human beings to talk to on the planet, because this is his job. He looks at things, and they look at racing completely different than everybody else, with a very scientific engineering look, and that's changed racing. That's changed NASCAR, and NASCAR is really getting more and more technologically savvy every day. All right, so in the next hour, we're going to have even more talk from right here inside the infield of the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway. And we're going to talk more about some of the rule changes that they did for the pits. Only 5 minutes in the pits at most after a crash. That's going to be huge. And so right now we are going to step aside, and I believe we have the top of the hour break for the news. And then we're going to come right back here to the World Series of Racing at Daytona International Speedway. You're listening to WOCA Radio. We'll be right back.
From the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. The New York Times plans to run a TV ad supporting the press during tonight's Oscars show.
The truth is, our nation is more than
The Times, one of the media outlets excluded from a Friday White House briefing. A rally due to start shortly outside the Times building against the president's attacks on the press. Governors gathered in Washington discussing a GOP plan to replace Obamacare due this week.
It includes significant cuts to Medicaid spending, and that's one of the biggest concerns for governors, because just a few years ago, under Obamacare, 31 states in the District of Columbia chose to expand Medicaid coverage and have added an additional 11 million people to their rolls.
Fox's Garrett Tenney. In New Orleans, 28 hurt, 5 in guarded condition when a driver plowed his pickup into a group at a Mardi Gras parade. Mayor Mitch Landrieu.
You had barricades. It's very hard to put against somebody that's really intoxicated that runs through a crowd.
The driver is in custody. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Liberty Mutual Insurance presents a story about Nana's cake.
It's Nana's 80th birthday, and you accidentally locked your keys in the car, along with her ice cream cake. No worries, this is a happy story. You have Liberty Mutual Insurance with 24-hour roadside assistance, and help is on the way. Liberty saves the day, and Nana even gives you an extra piece of unmelted cake.
Visit a local office or call 844-8-LIBERTY. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Optional towing and labor coverage underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company.
Think you can't afford an interior designer? Think again. Laurel & Wolf is a fun and affordable interior design service that can transform your space, all online for as low as $149 per room. Whether you're moving in with someone, having a baby, or just need a change, Laurel & Wolf can unlock your home's full potential. Just head to laurelandwolf.com today. Take a free style quiz, tell us about your space, and we'll work to create your dream home. That's LAURELANDWOLF.com. It's time to love where you live.
You're on, Galen. Galen, you're on.
All right, Larry, how much time we got?
You're on right now, Galen. You're on.
Oh, hey, good morning. I was in the middle of a conversation. Good morning and welcome to the World Center of Racing in the infield of the Daytona 500. Let's talk real quick about the rule changes for the pits. I think it's going to have a major impact on racing in a positive way. So historically, when you had these rule changes, or I'm sorry, big wrecks, these cars would do everything they could to get back into the race and just log laps so that they could get points. And the bottom line is it just didn't work. It just was horrible. And you'd have one car going, 70, 80 miles, sometimes 100 miles less than everybody around them. And it was a huge concern. So NASCAR decided, you know what? Here's the rule. You have 5 minutes to fix your car and to get that car up to speed. If you can't do it within 5 minutes, then you are out of the race. No, you can't even go back to the garage, because they used to do this. They used to go back to the garage, put it all together, come out, 45 laps down, and then they would be stuck doing that. And they would just be out there logging laps, and it just got ridiculous. And so now NASCAR said you have 5 minutes from the time that after an accident, you have 5 minutes to fix it. If you can't fix it in 5 minutes and that car can't get up to speed, you're out of the race. You can't go to the garage and fix it. You are out of the race. And I think this is going to do two things. One, I think it's going to allow you to see just how talented these people in the pits are at fixing those automobiles. That's going to be pretty fun, and you're going to have a little bit of strategy, and I think it's going to be good overall. It's going to improve the quality of racing. But again, these guys only have 5 minutes to fix their cars. I had a whole write-up on it, and I lost it. I don't know. I think I got blown away in the wind, because it is a perfect day out here in the infield. Temperature's going to get a little warmer, but right now we're in the 60s. We're right at 66 degrees. The sun is shining. When I come to Daytona and I feel like weather like this, I think of spring break in high school, but it's kind of changed over the years. Now I think of the Daytona 500. And right here at the World Center of Speed is where it all began. And I'm joined by a newcomer, a rookie to Daytona. And that's Steve Albright, who is a future sponsor of NASCAR. I know you're eyeballing a couple of signage on where you can put Albright and Associates. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm trying to work that into the 2018 budget right now.
Yeah, it's going to take some fiscal muscle.
Yes, it's going to take some creative financing on my part.
Yeah, but this is your first time here, and I always tell people you're going to be amazed at the size. Thoughts, impressions?
Yeah, the venue is over the top. It's Super Bowl, World Series, just crazy venue. But like you said earlier, the thing I've always heard about is the track itself, and I cannot believe that cars can stay on that track. That's incredible.
You know, you were out there and you were walking to the top, and you're like, it starts to dawn on you, wait, they ride on this? There are cars that race on this?
Yeah, I can't wait to see this happen. I can't believe it does happen, but I can't wait to see it physically work.
And when you see them come down, when you're standing on where the checkered flag is in the line for people just to put their autograph on the bricks, they're not even bricks, it's just a checkered paint on the ground.
It's
and you look down into turn one and you're like, no, that wall is close.
Oh, and 200 miles an hour. I cannot believe. I'm going to have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, it's an amazing place to be.
Yep.
And if you love to watch people, if you've never been, there's a lot less pressure. You don't have to do a lot of things, but there are lines everywhere. People signing up for everything from the Airbird, what the heck are they called? Oh, they're coming out. Thunderbirds, yeah. They're coming out from the Air Force. The Navy is a much better, group of people, but the Air Force will deal with it. But again, it's a very patriotic, middle America. This is your ham and eggers every day going to work. Yeah. I've been to a Super Bowl. It's a lot of elites who are in the top 1%.
Right.
And here, no, these people they're going to work tomorrow.
This is 250,000 Trump supporters, that's for sure.
It is. I said earlier, there's more Trump shirts here than there are American flags.
Or NASCAR shirts.
Or NASCAR.
Honestly.
I mean, Trump is NASCAR. And I remember when second Bush came here and was trying to, go after the NASCAR mobs.
Right.
He couldn't relate to them the way that Trump can, but that's a political show.
Yeah.
We do that Monday through Friday. But again, the inside, when I first came here, the whole infield was dirt. There was no grass anywhere. It was dirt, 1976.
And now it's Augusta National quality ryegrass.
I'm like, you walk on it like, that's
pristine.
That's the most, there's no litter anywhere.
No.
There's no dirt because it's very clean.
No, it's a very clean venue. It's just world class. I mean, this fan zone that we're in is, like I said, it's as good as any Super Bowl I've ever been to, or major venue like that. It's incredible.
Well, you're a golf guy, and so, we were talking about earlier, and, like, this is it would be your Masters.
Yes, for sure.
This is people's Super Bowl, and they come here and they spend a week. This is their family vacation.
Yep.
They get to go to the beach. You see license plates from everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm always awe-inspired by it. And I love to come, and whenever I'm driving through all the traffic to get here, I'm like, why do I do this every year? And then you get here, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. It's an event. It happens 50 miles away from us.
Yeah, I can't believe I've never been, but the excitement level is definitely. I've been to U.S. Opens, the Masters. It's that electric. The people are that excited about this.
And we're 5 hours away.
Yeah, no, it's just incredible.
It's 5 hours away. Again, I encourage everybody to come and see it, even if you're not coming to the race. Come and experience what the Speedway is, what it's about, what it feels like. Walk the track. You're allowed to come out here and walk the track. Come to the Rolex. Come to the Bike Week. Whole nother level.
Right.
Whole nother level. A little more of an adult crowd. I spent 4 days over here when I was in college. You remember my college days.
I do.
Spent 4 days over here during Speed Weeks. And I never left. I stayed across the street, and I never went downtown to the A1A.
Right.
And then the guy I was working for, he goes, no, we need to go. We drove there like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've been in the Navy, I've been to the Philippines and Thailand. My eyes were open that day. But again, you've got to come and get out and experience what's around you, the great state that we live in Central Florida. The beach we all know is amazing, but the reason the beach is famous is because of this race right here. This is what started it all. So, we got another 45 minutes or so, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking more about the race. I know Steve's got a lot of thoughts on NASCAR and all the races that he's watched. But we're going to take a break right now. We're going to step aside, and we will be right back. This is WOCA Radio, broadcasting live from Daytona International Speedway.
That was the sound of a tree falling. It could be your tree. You're going to have it trimmed, but never got around to calling Pride Tree Service. It could have fallen in a field, and now all you have to do is call Pride Tree Service, and they'll have it quickly out of the way for a great price. But don't wait until the tree falls. It may not fall in the field. It may hit your car, your house, or worse. So call Pride Tree Service today and avoid all those headaches before they happen. Pride Tree Service, 572-2510. That's 572-2510.
Next Generation MD is the future of healthcare now. Listen in the first and third Thursday at 10 a.m. to learn how the future in PRP treatments are here in our area. Find out the many ways that Dr. Juan Jordan, MD, Charles Brooks, NP, and case manager Mark Shaw have brought the family medicine practice to a new level. Hear from the very people that benefit from the fine work they have done in this field. Next Generation MD, every first and third Thursday at 10 a.m. here on WOCA 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Tick-tock. The days fly by, and we find tax season is upon us once again. Not to worry, though. With a reputable CPA firm on your side, you can rest assured that all of your needs will be handled in a professional and thorough manner. Robson, Scribner & Stewart is just that firm. They're there for their clients year-round, not just during tax season, to handle your needs and answer any questions you may encounter. At Robson, Scribner & Stewart, there is no client too small or too large. Their expertise ranges from the single individual to the largest of corporations. Get your return prepared by a professional who will use their years of experience to ensure your tax return's outcome will leave you in the best possible position. Call them today at 694-4184. Robson, Scribner & Stewart. They're there for you today. Again, that number is 694-4184. Time is of the essence, so don't delay. 694-4184.
Millions of people have type 2 diabetes, and many have trouble keeping their blood sugar under control. If you're one of them, learn about the Merck Type 2 Diabetes Study. This clinical research study is evaluating the safety and effectiveness of an investigational medication for type 2 diabetes. Those who qualify will receive the study medication, study-related medical examinations, and laboratory tests at no cost. To see if you're eligible, call Dr. Larry Popeil with Magnolia Research Group, 352-351-8088. That's 352-351-8088.
You're going to love your new windows and the immediate energy savings when you work with Renewal by Anderson. You'll experience legendary quality and installation. Visit renewalbyanderson.com for a free in-home consultation with the pros. Right now, save 20% on windows, doors, and installation. No money down, 0% interest, and 0 payments for 12 months with approved credit. Visit renewalbyanderson.com. renewalbyanderson.com. Offer ends February 28th. License CGC 1524135.
Come to the 4th Annual Habitat Strawberry Festival on March 4th, 2017 at the McPherson Government Complex. The festival's goal is not only to have vendors, food, a car show, a kids zone, live entertainment featuring One Flight Up, a lip sync competition, police versus fire department pie eating contest, and all things strawberry. But to also raise funds to build a habitat home for a family in our community. Check out the website, habitatocala.org, and follow the link. The Habitat for Humanity Strawberry Festival is March 4th with breakfast served at 7:30. Free parking, free admission. Coming this and every second Friday of the month at 11 a.m. is Trinity Healthcare Medical Center with your host, Dr. David Kuhn. Trinity Healthcare Medical Center is Ocala's only progressive primary care clinic. Be sure to listen in and also check their website at thcmc.com. Then call them with your questions at 512-0000. That's 512-0000. That's every second Friday at 11 a.m. for Trinity Healthcare Medical Center here on The Source, WOCA.
Who's going to go? What team's going to take? I think the seedings from the committee.
All right. Hey, Quality Radio here on WOCA 96.3. We are broadcasting live from the World Center of Racing in the infield. I'm Galen Unold. I'm joined by Steve Albright, rookie to NASCAR, first NASCAR race.
Very much a rookie to NASCAR.
For a guy who went to the University of North Carolina, I would think that would be some kind of a rule.
You would think so, and even in Central Florida, it's huge down here. I don't know why I never got into it, but I'm pretty interested at this point.
Too busy playing golf.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was.
All right, so let's talk about the 2016 rule changes. I kind of talked about them earlier. I want to kind of get a little bit more specific. First of all, big thing off the top is it's now Monster Energy. Growing up, it was the Winston Cup. It was the Winston Cup for, 30-something years. Before that, it was just called the NASCAR title. But Winston Cup got replaced by Sprint, and I didn't think that would ever happen. And now we got Monster Energy drink. I don't like Monster Energy drinks.
Never had it.
Man, I couldn't drink that. I would be like shaky for a week and a half.
Particularly you.
I'm already a high energy guy. I don't need more energy. But again, they implemented a new race format. They have a concussion protocol after Dale Jr., the biggest marquee name in NASCAR, Earnhardt, was out for the last half of the season because of concussions. It was really scary. They didn't know if he was going to race again, when he was going to race again, if he did. And so now they've changed that protocol, and they have what they call the damaged vehicle policy. I'm surprised that's not sponsored by Geico or, NASCAR. Give them a week. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But that's going to significantly impact the on-track spectacle. So the new regulations are going to have impact teams that the way they approach every race on and off. And that concussion protocol actually means this. If any driver damages their car such that it is brought them to the garage or behind a pit wall, they will now be required to visit the infield care center to undergo evaluation. So if they come to the pit row, they're going to do the 3 diagnostic tool. I have no idea what that is. It's used in other sports organizations such as FIFA, because let's be honest, if anybody needs a concussion protocol, it's soccer.
Yes.
And it's the most corrupt organization on the planet, so I'm sure they do it really, really well. That's who I would model. And they're first going to be evaluated doing that SCAT-3 tool. At the beginning of the season, that's going to create their baseline. And then they're going to compare it from that SCAT-3 score throughout the year. There will also be the 5-minute limit on repairs, starting when the cars enter pit road. If the cars can't be fixed within that allotted 5 minutes, it has to go into the garage or behind the wall. It will not be allowed to return to the race. That's going to have a major impact, I think, on the point system. So now, once you crash, you can't come back, and you can't pick up that 1, maybe 2 points. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be great for the sport. It'll be safer. That concussion protocol, the NFL has one that is worked around all the time. These guys, whether we respect them as athletes, they're not. There are some of them that are athletic. But all you have to do is look at Ryan Newman. That dude's not an athlete. He's just one hell of a driver. But they are very, very competitive. They're at the highest level of their profession. They're in the top 1%. They are not going to be wanted to get pulled out of their car. This is their dream. It's like being on the PGA Tour and all of a sudden you can't play, in the Masters or in the British Open or anything else. It's just they're not going to go winningly. That's why you see in the NFL, it's controlled by those guys know how to cheat the system because they take it all the time and they realize what answer they want you to give, and they give it. But I understand why NASCAR has to do it. I understand why all these sports have to do it. But NASCAR, you see Richard Petty everywhere. He doesn't have concussion syndrome. He's not a football player of the same age who doesn't even know his name, committing suicide because he's got massive brain trauma. I don't think it's equivalent, but because it was Dale Earnhardt Jr., his father died at this track, that gave it a whole nother level. And I think that's why we're seeing this. I think that's why it's important. And I'm curious to see how it's going to work out. All it takes is for one driver to be sat down for 1 week and the protocol be changed because it's way too much money.
Well, that's true. But I think, though, probably it's a liability standpoint for NASCAR, just like it became for the NFL. And it may take longer, but all it takes is a guy 20 years from now to get diagnosed, and some experts say that it was due to 5 crashes, and then he's going to want $100 million.
Well, and then you have to prove negligence, which the NFL kind of did, or the Players Association kind of did, and they won that lawsuit. But now what they do is they make all the NFL players stay on a waiver.
Right.
And maybe that's what it comes to. We'll see. I'm very curious as to how it's going to work out. I think these guys are getting well compensated.
Well, at some point, it's racing cars on that crazy track. I mean, there is an element of risk that is unavoidable.
If you get into a NASCAR, into a race car, I don't care what the race car is, there is an inherent risk that you're assuming.
Way
any
more
car
than
where
any
you
other
have to wear a helmet,
right,
and there's a roll cage.
Yes.
All right. Buyer beware.
And I think before this modern age of political correctness and everybody needs to be safe, people understood that.
Sure.
I'm a race car driver. I've got a good chance of getting hurt or killed.
Sure.
And so.
When Dale Sr. died, and they had just brought out the Hans device, he had tried it on, and he hated it because he felt it restricted his movement.
Sure, right.
You got to remember, this guy was driving with an open mask.
Right.
With a cargo net between him going 200 miles an hour next to another car, and there was nothing there but a cargo net. He didn't even wear goggles all the time. They didn't wear gloves.
Right.
They would wear half fire suits and jeans.
Yeah.
So so the changes are dramatic, and you always want to improve. Now, when you walk around this track, you see the safer barriers. Where during the duels there was a guy who, I can't remember who, but he hit that wall on the inner wall at 180 miles an hour, and that's the same spot where 2 years ago, what's his name, the M&M's driver broke his legs going into Bush. Kyle Busch broke his legs going into that exact same spot, and this guy just walked away. He got into the ambulance, got into the concussion protocol, and was out, in seconds. So, I really respect the safety that they put on these drivers, and that's across all racing. Nobody came here to see somebody die.
Yeah.
And that was traumatic. I mean, I was here when Dale died, and I didn't think anything of it. Thought it was just another crash. Went to the victory lane. Got, the video of Michael Waltrip getting the trophy. He goes, I just won the Daytona 500. And then I got in the car and left and had to come right back when we found out he died. So it's inherent to racing that people are going to die.
Right.
You just hope it doesn't happen today.
Yep.
But you kind of hope the big crash happens. I want you to kind of see the big crash in person.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know if I want to witness that, but I can understand the excitement of it.
All right, you've seen now how big the track is. Yeah. We haven't gotten a real big, so you haven't even seen the backstretch.
Right.
From where we're at and where you were out on the track, you could see maybe a third of the track.
Massive.
Right?
Massive.
So when you see a crash and it takes place over a mile, it's kind of fun. I'm not going to kid you.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it's all of a sudden it's. They don't tumble much anymore, but they used to tumble.
Right.
And I was saying earlier, I was in the stands when a tire went up into the stands while I was at the race.
Wow.
I'm like, now I didn't come here to die.
No.
You can risk your life and limb, but I don't want to die. And that's one of the changes they made was the catch bench with a huge lip on it that literally catches tires. Not only that, now every tire is tethered. They have a tethering mechanism.
Wow.
Because of the way it breaks off of the axle.
Okay.
Not at the lug nuts, because the lug nuts are really strong. It breaks at the axle, and so the whole thing would come flying off.
Okay.
Now they're tethered, and so when they come off, they just kind of bounce and stick to the car.
Because I'm sure the tether can't be destroyed.
I would hope not.
Crash.
But, it's by then it's absorbed all the energy, and so now it's all, and that's partly why cars are so much safer, is because they design these cars to absorb and move the energy where they want them to move.
Okay.
They talked about airbags. The problem with an airbag in a NASCAR is if it goes off, you have no control over the vehicle.
Then it could do more harm than good.
Right, because when they have that initial impact, those people are still driving in the car.
Right.
They're incredibly talented. They're not athletes.
Mm-hmm.
They're very skilled. There are some athleticism.
Right.
But most of them are like 5'6".
Yeah.
And I could beat in basketball.
They're like a fighter pilot. I mean, they are unbelievably skilled.
Correct.
And do things that most people would never do in a million years.
Absolutely. Fighter pilots are being mobbed over there in the media. Maybe that's why we couldn't go in there.
Yep.
So now that Trump's president, us brown people can't go very many places. But, again, day's getting better and better, and you start to feel the crowd coming in. The line for the Daytona grill behind us is getting long. What if look at the size of that hot dog, Steve? That's when you know it's someplace special, damn it.
Exactly.
When you see a hot dog that's 18 inches long and a woman enjoying it.
Not going there.
I was trying to bring you. But, again, when we come back after the next break, we're going to really talk about the state of NASCAR. We talked about it a little earlier. Attendance, everything from the rule changes. Can they get viewership back up? Because the reason this is all important is the NASCAR contract with Fox is about to be up. And they've been moving more and more races over to FS1, which most people don't even know what it is. So, we're going to talk about that. But first, let's go ahead and step aside. We are listening to WOCA 96.3 on the FM and 1370 on the AM. Did I say that backwards? But we're in the infield. I'm Galen Unold, joined by Steve Albright. Get out there and donate blood. But we're going to be right back.
Hi, my name is Erica Olstein. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine. So, you used to be wired, now you're just tired. You used to be thin, but now you're the heaviest you've ever been. You don't necessarily always have to take a med if your thyroid is playing dead. If you have a thyroid disorder, an acupuncture visit may be in order. Come visit me, your primary care physician, Erica Olstein, at A Better You Healthcare. Call me at 352-615-5566.
The very best in quality is Captain T's upholstery.
Hey, this is Dan. Let me ask you a few questions. Does your boat look better with the cover on? Has your car's interior seen its better days? Stop using a towel to cover up those rips in the golf cart. Isn't it about time you had it restored to better than new with a custom upholstery from Captain T? Captain T's upholstery has been right here in Ocala for nearly 20 years, so they know how to make your ride one of a kind. Whether you want to take that classic ride back to a factory look or put your favorite sports team front and center, Captain T's upholstery is who to call. 352-369-1810. That's 352-369-1810. Or stop by their location, 5030 South Pine Avenue in Ocala, just past the drive-in. And of course, don't forget to visit them on the web, CaptainTUpholstery.com.
The very best in quality is Captain T's upholstery.
Sunrise Automotive, this is Matt.
Hey, Matt, it's Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Listen, we're going to be doing some traveling, and I need to make sure the car is in good shape.
Why don't you just bring it on by? Let us check it out. We can check all your belts, your hoses, your tires, all your fluids. In out of town, is that up north in the cold?
Yep.
Okay. Let's check your antifreeze. Also, let's make sure your washer fluid has got alcohol in it so it doesn't freeze up north, because that makes for a rotten day. And let's check your air pressure in your tires. Let's look at your brakes, make sure everything is safe and secure there. Let's go through it and just make sure everything is ready to go on the road. You due for an oil change?
Yep.
Whenever you come in to get your oil change, we always check your belts, your hoses, all your lights. We go through and make sure that everything is working properly. We check all your fluid levels. We do that every time you come in to Sunrise Automotive.
So just call you back at this number?
Yeah, just give me a call back at 690-1993 whenever you're ready to come in. And you can drop it off, leave it with us, whatever's most convenient for you. Look forward to seeing you at Sunrise Automotive.
Beautiful Moments Party Rental presents the Ocala Wedding and Events Expo 2017 on March 9th. This event has caterers, photographers, florists, musicians, plus food, fun, and more. Brides, bring your bridesmaids and friends alike. 100% of ticket sales goes to the Inflammatory Breast Cancer Network Foundation, and they're only $10 each. So mark your calendars for March 9th from 5 to 8:30 p.m. for the Ocala Wedding and Events Expo at Beautiful Moments Party Rentals, 3400 Southwest 60th Avenue. Questions, call 307-8180. That's 307-8180. Radio gets results.
Hi, this is Leah Caruso with Strive Physical Therapy Centers. One of the things that Strive does is we try to track how people learn about us and what they hear in the community about us. So that's one of our questions. And a lot of times they said they've heard us on the radio or they heard something on the radio that really touched them or a member of their family. WOCA has been extremely helpful in Strive's goals to educate the community.
Radio gets results.
Want to go exploring with all the comforts of home? Discover the best of both worlds at the Ocala RV Show, March 2nd through 5th at Florida Horse Park. Thursday through Sunday, discover loads of RVs, great rates. Win 2 $100 gift cards every day, no purchase necessary. Adults $5, kids under 16 free. Thursday, buy one admission, get one free. Sunday, free admission with blood donation to Life South Community Blood Center. $2 off for military and first responders each day. It's the Ocala RV Show.
EDPower.com for award information. Call for...
All right, it's just about 11:30. Let's return now to Galen Unold at the Daytona International Speedway, giving us a pre-show for the Daytona 500. I don't know why the music isn't working, Galen, but it didn't work.
Hey, it happens. Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome live. You are listening in as we broadcast live. I just love that. Britt Musburger retiring. You know he's my hero. Made me sad. But, yeah, we are listening live, not looking live, inside the world center of racing right here in the infield of the Daytona 500. We're going to broadcast live right up till noon, where we're going to hand you off to MRN Radio, which is the best play-by-play you're going to get. How they do it, their timing and their effectiveness, and everybody but Rusty Wallace. I don't like Rusty Wallace. I think he destroys the broadcast. I don't think he's a very good person either. That's another story. You want me to share that story?
Share it. It was interesting.
Right. So I was in college, and one of the things I tried to do in college was experience as many things as I could in the world of broadcasting. And one of the things I got to do is I got to be like a grip, basically, for ESPN when they were broadcasting the race back then. And on a Wednesday, I got to help install the in-car cameras for some of the races, for some of the cars. And I had installed one, and the guy said, okay, you've seen it. It's not a hard process. Go install it. So I go up to Rusty Wallace's number 2 Miller Lite car, and I'm in the car. It's a 3-piece component system. One's the receiver, then you got the connector, and then the camera. And I've already installed the receiver, and my legs are basically hanging out of Rusty Wallace's car because it was a little bigger then than it is now. And so Rusty comes up and he goes, "What are you doing?" Starts screaming at me, and I'm like, "Look, I'm just trying to install this camera." He goes, "Get away from my car. I don't know you. Don't touch my car." And this goes on, and I'm like, "Okay, fine." I get out of the car, and he's still screaming at me. My boss comes over, and he starts screaming at Rusty Wallace, going, "This isn't your car. ESPN owns this car today," and they were going at it. So finally, they stopped yelling at each other, and I could do my job. And Rusty Wallace decided he was going to sit in his driver's seat and watch me install this car camera. Should have taken 15 minutes. Took me like an hour.
Your hands were shaking.
Oh, and I was so glad he didn't win. He was like, he was on the front row, if I remember right.
He was the man for a long time.
Oh, I was so happy. I think he crashed. I think I did a little jig. But so that's my Rusty Wallace fan. I'm not a big fan. There's some guys that I actually have talked to several times, like Dale Jarrett. He's a great human being. Not a very good broadcaster. I think he's kind of boring. He's a good human being. I like them. But, you know, they're people, and they have good days and bad days, and that must have been a bad day for Rusty Wallace. But from what I've learned since, he has a lot of bad days. All right, so let's talk about the field. Let's kind of give the lineup, and then on the second, near the top of the hour, I'm going to give you my winner. I may have mentioned it before, but I may not have. All right, so on the pole, Chase Elliott. He won the pole, and then he performed extremely well in the duels that happened on Thursday night. Steve, I know you were riveted. That was just good TV.
Yep.
I kind of like it. You know, it's a short race. They have that sprint at the end, and Chase Elliott was able to hold the line. And the way he was going back and forth and blocking, I can't wait to see if he can pull that up with a full lineup behind him. That's going to be impressive. You know, in the second spot is Jamie McMurray. Even though we talked about those Fords, and I think they're going to come back to dominance or dominate for the first time, you know, right now they're dominating the speed. They're in 1 and 2 right now. Then you got Kevin Harvick in the Jimmy John's Ford. How do you like Jimmy John's? You like Jimmy John's?
Do like Jimmy John's.
It's fast. It's freaky fast.
We got a new one in Ocala.
Yeah. I go right there by the movie theater.
That's right.
It's fast.
It is. It's good.
Because I used to go to the one in Gainesville for lunch all the time because it was fast.
Right.
So, and I like their bread. I don't like Subway.
No, definitely better.
Did Jared ruin Subway for you?
A little bit.
When you found out what he did?
A little bit.
Right? That's a brand killer.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe you should think twice before you sponsor something. Make sure they don't, you know, aren't watching the wrong things on porn.
That's right.
And then you find out that in college he used to sell and rent porn. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
That's how he got. That's how it was his first business.
They didn't vet him very well.
Apparently not, because then you know when something like that comes out, everything comes out.
Pretty bad.
All right, so we'll get back to the race. Brad Keselowski's in the Miller Lite Ford. I like Miller Lite occasionally. Matt Kinson is 5th, and then Trevor Bayne is in 6th. Now, what's interesting about the Daytona 500, it doesn't really matter where you start, as long as you can get to the front when you get to the front. You know, historically, we've had guys that have dropped, you know, been mid-pack and dropped all the way to the back so they can avoid the big one. I think that's proven not to be very effective because the big one is going to catch you if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And We didn't have a big one last year. We didn't have a big one at Talladega. Now, with the shrinking of the restrictor plate, making the cars a tad bit slower, that means the last car is going to be a little closer to the front car. It's going to be easier to pull up through the pack because of the whole bubble that they talk about with the aerodynamics. I'm curious to see if somebody can go back to the back and then come all the way to the front. I'm going to be very curious to see if that's actually a tactic this year. But there's always the rookies. You got to look at these rookies and go, I wonder if they can make any headway, because rookies do not win the Daytona 500, and that includes Daniel Suarez. It's going to be in a really good car. We walked by the Arias Toyota. I knew you knew that was Suarez's car when we walked by, being the fan that you are.
Yes.
But walked by his pit. His pit looked very clean. He had his good years all out. They were gluing down the lug nuts.
Yep.
It's something people don't know. They have to glue down those lug nuts.
I didn't.
There you go. Corey LaJoie is also out there, and I'm curious to see how he's going to do today. But I'm interested. I'm very interested to see how this goes. Dale Earnhardt sitting on the outside of the pole. That's going to be pretty good. And look, when Dale Earnhardt takes the lead, you'll know.
We'll hear it.
It's Jack Nicklaus at making a putt at 16.
Then you'll know.
Yeah, and you get that. I don't know if too many people,
I noticed Cole Trickle's not in the field this year.
Not anymore. No, not anymore. But Dick Trickle is still out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as the Trickle's in the field.
Yeah, I was wondering how long it was going to take you before you took a Talladega Nights or Days of Thunder.
Before today, that was the extent of my knowledge.
Is that it?
Yes, Days of Thunder.
Hey, Rubbins Racing, Cole.
Yes, it is.
And you know what? It's a pretty good example of what NASCAR is in a lot of ways, because, one of my favorite scenes is when, who was the actor? He was a great Santini.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
anyway,
about.
that guy, he's in there and he's like talking to his car. He's the crew chief. He's like, now you take care of my boy, because the driver died.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, I'm going to do this to your car, give you an extra gallon of gasoline. I'm going to shave you. And I'm like, I'll bet you they do that, because the way these people, the pit crews, one car, they have something like 16,000 hours into each car, in the body shop. And then one year Jimmy Johnson painted all his logos on, because it may shave him a tenth of a second.
Wow.
And it cost him like $80,000. And I'm like, $80,000 for a tenth of a second? And he wrecked. I'm like, well, at least the stickers didn't peel off. But, they that's all they're trying to do is fractions of a second mean so much. It's hard to compare to any other sport. I guess in golf, you get a bad kick or you land in a divot maybe. Baseball, whether it's the catcher catches it on strike 3 or pops out of the glove. I don't know, but the way these people spend millions of dollars for a tenth of a second, it's quite amazing. And in that way, they're catching up with the Indy. Formula One. Formula One, their races are decided by thousandths of a second. And so I think it's fascinating, and the technology that they put in and the amount of time, energy, and effort that they put in is quite amazing. Technologically speaking, this infield, this what they call Fan Fest, Fan Zone, is light years ahead of where it was 5 years ago.
Right.
This whole area was just reconstructed where they had this upper layer. And so it costs more to get on the fan deck. So you can buy a ticket to the race, and then you have to buy another ticket to get inside the fan zone and the fan experience. There's cars parked all over. There's one of Richard Petty's 43 right over there. I couldn't remember Richard Petty's number. How sad is that?
Even I knew that.
43! I've met him a couple of times. I got his hat. We were at some event. My dad brought home his hat. I don't know where that thing is. It's because it's got the big band and the feather.
That's pretty
cool. The Hank Williams Jr. style hat. Yeah.
Fans are starting to get into the stands here.
Yeah, we talked to somebody who had never been here. He goes, where should I go next? I'm like, have you been on the track? He goes, no. I'm like, get your butt on the track, man. That's where it's at. And people are going to start congregating to that area. Who's the headliner today? We should know that.
I don't know the answer to that.
I've seen Kid Rock, by far and away the coolest. Jordan, what was her name?
Jordan Sparks.
That's right. Jordan Sparks was performing over there. I think you went and checked her out.
Yep.
Was she on American Idol?
Yes, exactly.
Did you ever watch American Idol?
Of course.
I don't watch American Idol.
Good show.
You watch So You Think You Can Dance, too, don't you?
No, I don't watch that.
You got to draw the line.
Yes, I draw the line somewhere.
My rule of thumb is this.
There's some Thunderbirds.
Yeah, she's walking right past me. But my rule of thumb is this. If they're speaking English and they still need subtitles, I usually watch it.
Right.
I'm usually in.
Yes.
I'm like, what are you watching? Don't really know.
Yes.
All right. But we're going to take a short break here, and then we're going to come back and wrap it up from the World Center of Racing, get our predictions in, kind of talk about what we expect to see out of this race. But we are broadcasting live from inside the infield in the fan deck of the Daytona International Speedway. You're listening to WOCA Radio. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Leprechaun Soft Wash is the roof washing method that is safe and effective on shingles, tile, metal and shake roofs, vinyl, wood, aluminum, hardy board and stucco siding, driveways, pavers, and the list goes on. Leprechaun Soft Wash is fully insured and uses biodegradable cleaning products. Plus, Leprechaun Soft Wash offers a spot-free warranty on roof cleanings. Call 751-2325.
No more blimey roof stains with Soft Wash. 751-2325.
Want to go exploring with all the comforts of home? Discover the best of both worlds at the Ocala RV Show, March 2nd through 5th. Horse Park. Thursday through Sunday, discover loads of RVs, great rates. Win 2 $100 gift cards every day. No purchase necessary. Adults $5, kids under 16 free. Thursday, buy one admission, get one free. Sunday, free admission with blood donation to Life South Community Blood Center. $2 off for military and first responders each day. It's the Ocala RV Show.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
Hi, I'm Leah Caruso with Strive Rehabilitation, inviting you to tune in to the first and third Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. to learn about the latest advances in healthcare available right here at home. Ocala Regional Medical Center and Strive have teamed up to bring the most qualified medical professionals on the air to answer your questions and bring information to help you in your decisions concerning your health. Again, that's the first and third Thursday. Health matters.
Hospice of Marion County has an urgent need for volunteers to share a conversation with someone, run errands, hold someone's hand. All you need is a willingness to help others. Our volunteers believe the blessings they receive far exceed the services they offer. Will you consider serving, caring, and making a difference? Call today, 873-7441. Hospice of Marion County, making more moments of life possible.
Hi, this is Vanessa Lane Jennings with the Jennings Law Firm, located here in beautiful Ocala. Join me every single Friday at 10:30 for Legal Lane. We'll be discussing various legal topics such as family law, criminal law, contracts, and much more. So this is your chance to call in with your legal questions and have them answered. That's every Friday, 10:30, right here, WOCA The Source.
Veterans are the foundation upon which our freedom is built. Listen to The Source, WOCA, each Thursday at 9 a.m. to Veterans News with Hank Whittier from Vets Helping Vets. You'll hear tributes, information on veterans issues, and stories that will make you laugh, cry, and feel proud. Veterans News always focuses on the military, past and present, and on our first responders. Veterans News is brought to you each week by Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens and Nursery, keeping you blooming since 1952.
Radio gets results.
Hi, this is Leah Caruso with Strive Physical Therapy Centers. One of the things that Strive does is we try to track how people learn about us and what they hear in the community about us. So that's one of our questions. And a lot of times they said they've heard us on the radio, they heard something on the radio that really touched them or a member of their family. WOCA has been extremely helpful in Strive's goals to educate the community.
Radio gets results.
You deserve a little getaway, so WOCA and Red Roof Inn are going to give you one. Throughout the month of February, tune in to AM Ocala Live, especially at 50 minutes past the hour. Why 50 minutes past the hour? Because Red Roof Inn now has over 50 Red Roof Inn Plus locations with new upgrades and amenities to make your stay great. And we're giving some lucky listeners a free night stay at any Red Roof Inn around the country. All you have to do is listen for Larry and Robin to tell you to call. So tune in and win from WOCA and Red Roof Inn.
Welcome back to the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway. I'm Galen Unold, joined by Steve Albright. Is this your maiden broadcast? No, you've done it before.
I've done a couple with you before.
Yeah, so you're no
lucky
rookie.
enough to do this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. First time to Daytona, though.
Yes.
You know, one of the things I've always thought that was amazing, and you can't do this in any other sport, maybe golf, because you can go to the practice range and watch them practice. But you can go into the garage, you can look in, and you can see them working on the car and doing stuff like that. But that's a pretty cool fan experience.
It is. I didn't know that you could do that, but you're right. You've got a big display open window there, and you can look right in on what they're doing.
Yeah, the cars aren't in there now because they're going through tech, and then when they go through tech, they'll see them when we go up top. They'll see them come out of their car carriers, those huge trucks. But I think NASCAR does such a good job of interacting with their fans, and they're so accessible. I think that's one thing that NASCAR does better than any other sport. You know, in golf, you kind of get it.
No, I think
with the driving
you're right.
range.
I think this is more so.
You know, because let's be honest, the driving range is one of the first places you stop at any tournament to see who's on the range.
Right, absolutely.
And even then, you're what, 50 yards from them sometimes?
They've gotten it pretty far away. There's a couple of spots where they've got some bleachers right behind them, but this is better. You're actually seeing what they're working on. That's pretty cool.
You're a golf geek, so I have to ask you this. You know, one of my favorite things is when the Golf Channel is showing like a tournament and they're at the range and they're showing the shot tracker.
Yeah, shot tracker is a great innovation that they've made.
That is cool.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's you know, a lot of times when you try those things, it turns out to be like the hockey puck with Fox trying to put the blue tail on it.
Right.
Or, you know, NASCAR, they've been really trying to demonstrate, got to get it back to racing, demonstrate how the draft impacts cars, right? And it's so difficult to do and to show in a meaningful way. And I know I saw a graphic where they had the arrows coming off and it almost looked like a weather system. Fascinating. Still didn't work. The one thing is once this race starts, it will not rain because the cars go at such a speed and such mass, it creates a vortex.
Really?
No. Just made that up. It's pretty good, though. Somebody told me that, and I fell for it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I fell for it, and I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, it creates a vortex. What? It's pretty good. Now, there's no chance of rain today in today's forecast, which means we're just going to have a perfect day.
A little windy.
Well, you were talking to, or heard somebody, because you were going to the pit further. What'd you hear?
One of the drivers was talking about the wind today. Said that in turn 2, they turn right back into the wind, and he said that can wreak some havoc. He said it makes it easier, I believe, on turn 4, but turn 2 is going to be a real challenge.
You get the push, and then coming out of turn 2, kind of give you the layman's terms, you come out and then it flat out onto the backstretch, and that's right when I think that wind's going to come off,
right? Because
there's no grandstand to protect you. It comes right out of the east, right off of the beach.
Exactly.
If you see it on TV, that's where the airport is. When you see the planes landing and flying, that's where they come into. Wind is a factor here, and because we talked about there's no ground force, no mechanical real ground force, the only thing that's keeping them in the road is their 4 Goodyears. Goodyear's a fun term when you're in racing.
It is.
I'm going to get me a new set of Goodyears, whether they're scrubbed or not. And they come off and they slip. That's really one of the slickest part because you come up and you go into flat. So think of this way. If you've ever skateboarded and you've gone from like an angle into flat bottom without going straight at it, right? You come kind of sideways, and how hard that is. It's the exact same thing that these cars do. So they kind of slip out of turn 2 into the backstretch, and they flatten out, and you'll see them. And sometimes with that wind, it can get you what they call aero loose. I'm going real technical. Until it takes all the wind off of the back half of that car, and it just whips around. So we could see that, and if that happens, looking at the flag, it's kind of coming directly into you into turn 2, which means when you come off of that, it's going to push you down the track. And you can see the big one right there, and that's a rare place for a big one to happen.
Yeah.
Usually it happens going into 1 and coming out of 4.
Okay.
That's where you want to look. And from where we're at, we got great view of both.
Very good.
All right. So, who's your prediction? What do you got? Who are you going to win this race?
I mean, I have no basis for my prediction, but it would be cool to be here when Dale Earnhardt won. So,
yeah, Junior. That would be really special. Senior won today.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm here for the experience. It's all the same.
You don't care.
No.
You don't care. I Dale can win, but if he does, it instantly makes this more popular. He's the most popular driver, close second. Tony Stewart is out. I want to say a Ford's going to win it because they've been dominant, but I think Chase Elliott's going to win from the pole.
Really?
I think he's going to, in the Napa car, in the number 24 Napa car, I think he's going to come in and do really, really well, and we'll see what happens, but never quite sure. He's driving that Chevy. They're going to go, in a matter of hours, you're going to see cars going 200 miles an hour. Have you ever seen a car go 200 miles an hour in person?
No.
Have you ever been in a car going 200 miles?
Most definitely not.
What's your top speed?
Guess my mom's not listening, so,
No, she's fine.
120.
120?
Probably 130, maybe.
Yeah, I took a van 110 miles an hour.
Ooh.
Do you remember the Unold van?
Yeah.
I took that van 110 miles an hour.
Wow.
It never ran the same again. I don't know if I ever told my mom of that one, but I've been 130 miles an hour before. That's the fastest.
Yep.
Ford GT.
And that's uncomfortable.
Ford 540.
Very uncomfortable.
Your Aero.
That was in your cousin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was a good day.
Yeah.
Coming to Daytona, probably. But again, I think it's going to be a good race. I think the point system, I hope it changes the race, because as I've said many times, first 50 laps is exciting because it started. The middle 100 are as boring as it gets. There's no golf equivalent because you're still playing. But these guys are just logging laps, and they're physically just, I mean, it's demanding.
Right.
They're still concentrating.
Right.
But they're trying not to wreck.
Right.
They're not trying to win.
Trying to be in contention for the end.
Absolutely. Trying to make it to the last 50.
Kind of like a U.S. Open in golf. We're just
trying
don't
to survive.
make mistakes until the end.
Parring out.
Right, exactly.
But the whole course, the whole field is parring out.
Right.
But the good thing about the U.S. Open is you get the triple bogey, which you can enjoy somebody else's mystery.
You get a few crashes
you won't get any crashes between lap 50 and 150.
Because they're so conservative?
Right, unless somebody's tire goes out or somebody gets loose because of the wind or something. You will not see a crash because of aggression.
Okay.
Last 50 laps, you may see 10. You may say none. The one thing that's true is crashes result in crashes. Because when they crash, somebody's going to come into the pit.
Right.
Now they got 4 tires. They're going to try to get around everybody. Now they got fuel to make it to the end. They're going to be a lot more aggressive. But the middle 100, I'm hoping the new points, because you get awarded for the first 50, and then that middle section, you get awarded for points.
It'll promote some more aggression.
I'm hoping, and I'm hoping there's not very many cautions, but when there are cautions, they're good for the right reasons. Not because there's a spin out and somebody doesn't make it around. You'll have some people hit the wall and then drag around all the way around. That can really make a race boring. But my prediction is Chase Elliott wins. I should go win, place, and show.
There you go.
Would be something.
Yeah.
I think he wins by holding off the field behind him. I think if he gets a teammate up there, I like his chances. But I do think that the number 43, the Richard Petty fame, Eric Amendola, is going to be a factor in this race, and that's good for the sport. If 43 wins, it's as big as Earnhardt Jr. winning.
Really?
It's that big. But, the 88's by far and away the most popular. People don't even know they go by car numbers.
Right.
So I like the number 24, too. I wasn't a big Jeff Gordon fan. I think he's gay. I'm kidding. That was a big joke for a long time. I can't confirm it.
No.
But, I think it's going to be a good race. I think it's going to be fun. Again, those first 50 laps, you're going to, when they first come by, even when they're with the pace car, you're like, oh my gosh. And then when they hit full speed, it takes them 2 laps, a full 2 laps to get the speed.
Wow.
And when they get the full speed and they get the draft in the first their cars are seeing what they can and cannot do. They start moving around. That's exciting. And then you're like, okay, let's go somewhere else. And then we're going to take a tram around the infield so you can really see culture that is NASCAR.
I'm looking forward to it.
But again, there's a lot of people I want to thank. I want to thank Life South Community Blood Centers for employing me. That's always good. Giving me a job and allowing me to do this. I want to thank Dan Martone for allowing the courage to allow me on the radio after the hot dog joke. And it's going to be a great race. My good friend Larry Whitler's back there with Doug. One of the best swings I've seen in baseball a long time came from Doug. But again, if you haven't been to the Daytona International Speedway, get out here. And get here, come see it, take a tour. They have one of these tours where you could take a lap around the race in a car. There's not where you could drive a car around it. But get out there, involve, find out what's going on. There are all kinds of tickets available, and there's a lot to do. I just saw Vince Vaughn, but he was here last year. He was a Grand Marshal last year.
That would make sense that they're back to
Yeah,
back.
I mean, they're like best friends. They need to do another movie together because they're the best. All right. But I want to thank everybody for listening. Tune in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for Larry and Robin, and I'll be on there with them. They go on at 7. And tune in. And thank you very much, WOCA Radio, for allowing me to do this. But you have been listening live to the pre-race show. MRN Radio starts at 1 o'clock. I'm not sure what we have in between now and 1, but make sure you tune in. And thank you very much for listening. This is Galen Unold and Steve Albright. Thank you for coming. Go Tar Heels. From the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
The very best in quality is Captain T's upholstery.
Hey, this is Dan. Let me ask you a few questions. Does your boat look better with the cover on? Has your car's interior seen its better days? Stop using a towel to cover up those rips in the golf cart. Isn't it about time you had it restored to better than new with a custom upholstery from Captain T? Captain T's upholstery has been right here in Ocala for nearly 20 years, so they know how to make your ride one of a kind. Whether you want to take that classic ride back to a factory look or put your favorite sports team front and center, Captain T's Upholstery is who to call. 352-369-1810. That's 352-369-1810. Or stop by their location, 5030 South Pine Avenue in Ocala, just past the drive-in. And of course, don't forget to visit them on the web, CaptainTUpholstery.com.
The very best in quality is Captain T's upholstery.
Radio gets results.
Hi, this is Leah Caruso with Strive Physical Therapy Centers. One of the things that Strive does is we try to track how people learn about us and what they hear in the community about us. So that's one of our questions. And a lot of times they said they've heard us on the radio or they heard something on the radio that really touched them or a member of their family. WOCA has been extremely helpful in Strive's goals to educate the community.
Radio gets results.
This is James Snyder, inviting you to join me each Sunday morning at 9:30 for Sunday Joy on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM.
96.3 FM.
Visit the shelter.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM.